Welcome, everyone. I am Amelia, the Pitbull Chapman, your host for the evening of my first show, Ring the Bell, along with my co host, Angelo Mad Dog DeCipio. It is,
Hooray! I
hey.
get the little box tonight. I'm so happy.
No, you can come up and join me with the big box too if you like. We can share the screen if you like.
Oh, okay, just for a couple of minutes here. Hey,
Yeah, there you go.
this is your first episode.
It sure is. It's 7 o'clock here in the Eastern side of the world. I'm in Florida, and we're going to be talking about
God help
wrestling.
you.
We're actually going to be
Did you
joined.
guys get any of that nasty weather?
Yes, we did.
Did
It
you?
was horrible. The
I thought
wind.
we were going to float away last night.
I did too, but look, I wasn't. I was feeling a little bit under the weather, so I kind of slept a little bit through it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty
Okay.
bad. But we did get a little bit of the tornado warnings and up above Florida, so some of the
Right.
people kind of got some damaged houses. How about you guys?
Not bad.
Mm,
We managed to avoid floating away.
hmm.
We do have a couple of neighbors here that ended up, and not bad shape, but losing a few trees.
Mm.
Um, it wasn't. It could have been a lot. It could have been a whole lot worse. Let's put it that way.
Wow.
But it wasn't. Thank you, God. Uh, it was the window.
Hmm.
Was man. I never had water come through my front door.
Oh my
The
goodness.
wind was blowing so hard, it pushed the water right underneath the door. And my wife goes, "Where's all this water coming from?" I don't know.
Oh my
Well, we
goodness.
found out.
No, we usually don't. My parents usually get like a lake sometimes, but luckily they didn't have any in Texas. But speaking of Texas, we're going to be talking about Texas wrestling tonight. Uh,
Well,
um,
yeah,
the movie The Iron Claw. I don't know. I went to go see it. Did you go see it as well?
I did.
And we're
Well,
going to
yeah,
be.
it came to see me. Let's put it that way. I ordered it at home.
I see. That's good. I
Yeah, I
actually went
got
to go
lucky.
see
I
it.
was able to see it at home. I didn't have to go to the movies, and
Uh,
I'm glad because it didn't cost me anything.
well, it wasn't
But
that bad here. We have a
I mean,
small.
we're going to get into it later, I'm sure.
Yeah, we're going to be
But
joined a little bit later by James Beard. He is a longtime family friend of the Von Erichs and a referee that actually was, of course, a referee of some of the matches of
yeah,
the Von Erichs. But he'll be joining us a little bit later. But
yeah, absolutely.
first, I want to wish my son, Joseph, a big happy birthday. He's 30 today.
Yes, we are doing this show on Joseph's birthday.
Yeah,
He's
and
30 now.
it saddens me because 30, it's kind of like a bittersweet because if you remember, a lot of these wrestlers don't live to be 30.
Well, yeah, because I mean, if you're going to take chances with your life,
Hmm.
it's like playing Russian roulette.
It is.
Eventually, the bullet's going to go off.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
um, the average, back in the day,
Hmm.
just so people know, like I'm the old fart of the crew.
Hmm.
Back in the day, like in the 80s and 90s, wrestlers were dropping like flies.
Yes,
You'd be you would be lucky if a guy lived to be 35.
absolutely.
Well, look at everybody, Mr. Perfect, Kurt Angle. I mean, no, God forbid, Kurt Angle. Um, Kurt
Henning,
Hennig. I
Henning.
can't believe I forgot that kid's name.
Right.
Kurt, well, he's been gone a long time.
Yes. He
Kurt
has.
Hennig, Rick Rude, the British Bulldog, the Dynamite. They all died young.
They did. They did.
They all died like before 40.
They did. And this is a tragic story, too, that we're going to be talking about
It's
today.
crazy.
It is.
Brian Pillman, Eddie Guerrero.
Yes.
We were losing wrestlers back in the 80s and 90s
Hmm.
at an epidemic rate. Here's James Beard.
And that's what I want my show to be about is,
Hey, James Beard is joining us tonight.
hello.
Let me introduce this young man. For those of you just joining, Texas Wrestling Insider James Beard is a referee, promoter, and longtime friend of the Von Erich wrestling family. James, Welcome. How are you, my friend? And I hope you're safe.
Hello?
I'm
Can you
doing
hear us?
okay. I'm actually on the road down in Houston trying. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you
Yes,
just
sir.
fine. Can you
Hmm.
hear us?
Hello.
He's in his car. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
You're
I'm out
you're in
in
your
Illinois.
car, James.
I'm
We're gonna have a problem. I can
I'm
tell you right
actually
now.
in my daughter's car, but I'm riding. Yeah.
Okay. Just I have
Okay.
this thing about people talking in the car. Why don't I'm going to let you go. Why don't you hook back up with us when you get settled? Okay.
Okay, I can do that. It shouldn't
Okay,
be
yeah,
Beautiful.
more than
just
about
join us when you get
45 minutes.
Take your time.
take
Whatever it
your
is,
time.
just take your time.
Okay,
Okay. You bet.
that'll work. Okay,
Yeah.
Okay,
I'll
Thank
we'll
do
you.
that.
see you
Okay.
soon.
Okay.
Okay, no, thanks.
Uh, yeah, and
I just I have this thing, folks. And James, said he would be here. He's here, but I have this thing. I don't like people driving and talking.
yeah.
Even if I don't care if he's got a headset or that's not how I like to do an interview.
Yeah, even if he's on the
Um,
passenger side, because it could cause the driver to lose sight of what they're doing.
yeah,
It could
I
cause an
don't.
accident, and yeah, I'd
Not a
rather be
big
safe.
fan of driving and talking. I
No,
really just
mm-mm.
don't like
It'd
it.
rather just have them be safe, settled in where they're going
Yeah,
to be, and that way we can talk a little bit later. But
absolutely sure.
and especially talking back about the wrestlers passing away at an early age, that's
Hmm.
going to be a show later on that we're going to be doing, because I wanted to go back into my Texas roots, or any Texas roots of wrestling, or southern roots, or wrestling back in the day when I knew wrestling, because that's when wrestling was wrestling. Right now
Yeah.
people call it sports entertainment. It's not sports entertainment, people. If
Oh no,
wrestling, you're
not at
going to
all.
call it entertainment, it's not wrestling.
Well, look at you guy Gino Hernandez and
Right.
Chris Adams. They
Yes.
both died before they were. I think Chris Adams was 33. Gino might have
Exactly.
been. Maybe he was.
29. He
I was
just
going to say he might have been just 30.
Yeah, he died before he turned 30, and he died before his time, before a prime, right when he
Sure,
was destined to be. Who knows what he would be right now,
he would
or
have
what he
been
would have been.
like a Hulk Hogan stature kind of guy.
Right. Even the
Because
Von Merrick.
everybody said Gino was special.
Oh, yes.
I never understood what it's two people said that.
It-
Gary Hart,
Mike.
Gary Playboy Hart,
Mhm.
and Michael P.S. Hayes. They both said Gino was special.
You know why? Because you can hand him a mic, and that's all you needed. He
That's
didn't
all.
have a
Yeah,
script.
he had the gift.
Yes.
He had the gift. I think Gino was better on the mic than Ric Flair
Oh, absolutely.
and
You hand him.
Roddy Piper.
Mhm.
Well, it might be close with Piper.
Yeah.
Roddy Piper to date,
Mhm.
Roddy Piper is the best stick man
Yes.
ever in period, bar none in wrestling. Second in line, in my opinion only, Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream,
Yes.
and then Ric Flair.
Yeah, also because you just hand him the mic. I heard Gino Hernandez, you just took one take. You
Yeah,
didn't you didn't have to do any
yeah,
takes
one
more
take
than once.
Gino,
Yeah.
absolutely, of course.
And a lot of people are like, "Oh, let me get this right," or "I didn't do this right," or "Hold on, let me do this again." And nope, he just like that. Boom.
Well,
He
I'll
handed
tell
him
you
out like
what,
that.
Amelia, I got some stuff on the screen here. I want to pop up here for you, and so tell
Absolutely.
everybody what's up here. It
Okay.
said
Uh,
dissecting the Von Erich dynasty.
yes.
And James Beard, Texas Wrestling Insider. We're going to introduce him again.
Yes.
Texas Wrestling Insider James Beard, referee, promoter, friend of the Von Erich family. Of course, I am Mad Dog DeCipio.
Yes.
I'm the producer tonight. It's Amelia's show, so I have to behave myself.
No, you know
Of
what?
course,
This is
your host for tonight is Amelia the Pitbull Chapman. This is Ring the Bell. This is Amelia's baby tonight. Ring the bell.
well, this is
And
no holds barred, so those you can talk and curse whatever you want to do. So this is not going to be a, oh no, it's a girl show, you can do it. No,
right.
we can curse all we want, because pretty much this is what we're going to do,
Yeah.
because I'm tired of people calling, like I said, people the word sports entertainment, fuck it, stop it.
Exactly. Okay.
Again, stop it. It's
We
not
have
sports entertainment.
Melissa Black. Our friend Melissa will be joining us again on the show. She wants to tell you good luck, Amelia, on
Thank
your
you,
first
Melissa,
show.
and welcome back. It's good to
And
have you back.
our buddy Leon, you got Leon in your chat tonight.
Hi,
Says
Leon.
Gino and Chris. This might be true. I think this might be true, Leon.
Mhm.
Gino and Chris were about to start a feud. What do you know about that, Amelia? About
They had
Gino
already
and Chris.
started a feud, or basically what it was is, um, Chris wanted to go back to England to visit his family, and it was a so-called feud. So they had to pretend that Chris had his eye injured,
Oh
so he
yeah,
had to
right.
walk around with a
Oh,
patch.
that was that the blind
Yes,
oh god,
yes,
give me a second because I'm old, folks. That was the
y-
blind angle.
yeah, the
And
eye
I think that
incident.
happened. What was supposed to be.
It-
Correct me if I'm wrong, Leon. You're still in the chat.
mm,
I think that might have been, and I could be wrong, but maybe it was the Freebirds. I think. Leon, if I'm wrong, let me know. It might have been either Buddy Roberts or Terry Gordy. I'm not sure.
Right, yeah,
But
because he had to go back to England for something, and they had to make it look like him and Gino were arguing at one time. So that's why he had to pretend to walk around with something in his
yeah.
eye at one time. And when
Well, the
Gino
funny
died,
thing about that, I know a little bit about that. May I?
Mhm. Go ahead, please. Yeah, go ahead.
It's your show, and I don't want to be
No, no,
like
no. Go ahead. You know the story about that, so go ahead.
I. I believe the reason that Gino and Chris teamed up to begin with is, first of all, the two of them were like twin brothers from
Oh
different
yeah.
mothers.
Oh yeah.
They
They
were like
wrestled a lot alike. Yes.
exactly,
Yes.
including their drug use,
Oh yeah.
which I'm sure
They
we'll talk
the
about
white
on the
stuff.
Gino show.
Yes.
Um, but the other thing, and I think Leon might have the answer that I'm looking for. The
Mhm.
other thing, though, is they were both incredible baby faces,
Yes.
but they were also great heels.
Yeah, they were
Gino
fantastic heels.
Hernandez was a guy
Mhm.
that, and it's crazy to think about this.
Mhm.
Gino Hernandez was Steve Austin 40 years ahead of his
Yeah, they
time.
brought in the money too
Yeah,
together. Mhm.
because Gino was a good-looking guy,
Yes.
but he was a heel, and there's nothing better
Mhm.
than a heel that looks like a guy that you want to love.
Oh,
That's why
absolutely.
so many girls wanted Gino.
Absolutely. Even with the Southwest
That
Championship
whole
Wrestling,
he had Texas wrestling in the
mhm.
Gino
Yeah,
Hernandez
in
and
the
Chris.
palm of his hands.
Yeah, him and
Mhm.
Chris Adams had Texas
Oh,
in the palm
absolutely.
of their hands.
Even when he was with Tully Blanchard in the beginning with Southwest Championship Wrestling, he carried Tully Blanchard because Tully wasn't that good looking. So it was all Gino,
So
basically.
Leon says I'm right.
Mhm.
Yep, it
Yeah.
was the
The free
fabulous Freebirds,
Yes.
Buddy Roberts and Terry Gordy.
Yes.
Now I believe at the time, Michael Hayes again, Leon, you know the history here.
Mhm.
Um, my understanding is that Michael Hayes was being groomed to be a solo.
Yes, he
Uh,
wanted nothing to do with the Freebirds around that time. It was
right, because I
Mhm.
believe they had a personal
Yes.
problem, you know.
Yes. Mhm.
But they worked like every problem in wrestling. The best way to deal with it,
Mhm.
make an angle out of it. Damn it,
Absolutely.
absolutely is fucking right.
Get the fans, with working it too. Get the fans
Yeah.
to be a part of the whole thing. And now you can't even get the fans to be a part of it like it used to
Oh
be.
my God, it's crazy. Are you kidding
Yeah.
me?
Yeah.
Please.
And you remember
Inside
now
the
too the
iron
barricades,
claw.
how they have it now? The barricades is
Yeah.
either all like a steel thing or all like this what is it? Black kind of stuff around it, big old mats. And
Oh
back then
God,
it was
yeah.
just all rope to where you could actually reach over
Oh
and touch the
yeah.
wrestler. I
There
loved
were
that.
no barricades before. Oh,
Nothing.
never. Are
Nothing
you
at all.
kidding me?
You
When
could
I
go.
went to wrestling, Amelia,
Mhm.
now I'm considerably older than you. I'm older than Leon too, which surprised me, but I am. Here's the thing.
Hmm.
Interesting. Back in the day when I was like, 8, 10, 12 years old,
Right.
I go to a wrestling match. They didn't have any barricades. There
Mm.
was the ring and there was your seat.
Right.
If they fell out of the ring on top of you, guess what? They
Hmm.
fell out of the ring on top of you.
Yeah. Or the rope. It's all we had was just that little bitty rope, just dividing where the
Well,
seats would be.
sometimes we didn't even have the rope.
Yeah. Well, it depends too, because we had
We
American
had
Legion Hall.
nothing.
Yeah, American Legion Hall. There was just the ring and a little bit of part right there was, of course, the cement,
Yeah,
and then it's the
maybe
seats.
10 feet, maybe
Yeah.
if you're lucky, maybe 10
Yeah.
feet.
There was no
Which
rope.
is not far, folks. When you got a ring
Yeah.
10 feet from your seat, guess what? You could pretty much reach out and touch
Yeah.
it.
And it's like, hi, how are you? And they come up to you, like, scare you. It's like, what? I did that one time. I was little with Kamala, and they were like,
Yeah.
he'd be like, and I'm like, like that. The referee was like,
I
no,
had
don't do
dinner
that.
with Kamala.
Really?
I had dinner with Kamala in my dad's restaurant in New Jersey. He came. Listen to this one.
Hmm.
They came in for lunch. I can't believe this shit. Everybody knows that I used to be a promoter. I've
Right.
been involved in wrestling for a long time. My father had a restaurant in New Jersey years ago,
Hmm.
and Pretty Boy Larry Sharp was a dear friend of ours,
Oh.
and he would bring the guys in that were coming in to wrestle that night.
Hmm.
He came in with Kamala, Stan Hansen,
Oh, wow.
and King Kong Bundy. Well, let me tell you something. These are four of the biggest guys you ever saw because Larry was no lightweight himself.
Right.
Larry was a 300-pounder, boy.
Wow.
And he was big. Larry was 6'6". He's a big guy.
Hmm.
And you got these four monsters sitting down. I think they ordered $500 for lunch.
Wow.
And all they had was lunch. But then here's the best part. They came back after the show. And guess who came with them?
Mm. Who?
Everybody who wrestled that night came with them,
Oh, wow.
including the audience
Wow.
that followed them over to the restaurant.
Wow.
We were there till 3 o'clock in the morning, drinking and eating and getting drunk and getting fat and telling the stories. But
Wow.
the best story
Mhm.
was he used to be called the Tonga Kid,
Uh-huh.
who later became Rakishi.
Oh,
Okay?
yes, I remember that, Rikishi, yes.
Rakishi used to call himself the Tonga
The
Kid when
Tonga
he was
Kid.
younger.
Yeah.
He came in with his brother. It was Samu and Fatu, the Samoans.
Yes.
Tonga Kid. But he got big, boy. He got big. Anyway, I will shut up now,
No,
Amelia.
ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna have Angela as a guest too one of these days too, so you're gonna be a guest one day.
Do you want me to be a guest and talk about my days in wrestling?
Sure, why not?
Bless you, my dear. You're better off getting Leon on the show for crying
No,
out
I
loud.
think I
He's
think the
probably more
fans
entertaining than I am.
I think the fans in the audience would love to hear your days as a wrestling as a
I'm trying
promoter.
to forget about it, and you want me to relive it.
And I think the fun part of it, not just like not like you were, having fun and your dad in the restaurant. I think they would love to hear stuff like that, the
Well,
stories.
it's. Can I
Yeah,
say something in all
sure.
seriousness?
Of course,
It
absolutely.
was a lot of fun.
Hmm.
It was a lot of work. It was. It was. Let's
Oh, I
make
can
no
imagine
mistake
the
about
work.
it. It
Yes.
was absolutely. It was work,
Yes.
but it was a lot of fun work.
Yeah.
It's also a very like we heard Robert Romanus the other night. He was
Yes.
talking about his coffee business.
Oh,
He
absolutely.
said it's a nickel business with dollar problems.
And he gave
And
away
that's
more
how
coffee
wrestling is.
that he made. Yeah.
Wrestling is a nickel and dime business with dollar problems, big dollar
Oh,
problems.
yeah, especially
And
because of the
because
movie.
the thing, Amelia,
Hmm.
and just hear me out for a minute, because
Sure.
it's important. I want to say this.
Hmm.
'Cause I am not the grizzled old veteran. I learned my lesson and I walked away after 50 years. Okay. And that's
Hmm.
true. I spent 50
Hmm.
years involved in wrestling. Okay. I started when I was 15. Go figure that out. Yes, I am pushing 65, folks. That's true. Thank you, God, I don't look it. I think I look pretty good for my age. But the point is, it will make you old before your time.
Yeah.
It's a very, very strenuous business. A lot of people in that business die young, as we
Oh,
talked about.
yes.
It's a business. If you don't make money, guess what? You lose money. Why? Because people come in to pay to see a show. You still have to pay people, even if you don't make any money.
Mhm.
Where's that money coming from? It's coming from your pocket.
Yes.
Okay. It's coming from your bank account. And if you can't, I have had to do this. And I'm telling the truth, folks. I've had to leave shows to go to the ATM machine and take money out to pay people because they didn't make enough money at the door. Or somebody at the door had tacky fingers.
Oh,
You understand
wow.
what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, of
You
course.
know, sticky fingers at the door. One, here's one for the promoter, couple for me. Here's one for the promoter, 3 for me.
Hmm.
You know, here's how they count money at a wrestling show. Let me make my camera bigger here. Here's how they
Mhm.
count money.
Sure.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You see where the money's going?
Yeah.
You're getting 5, they're getting 20.
Oh, my goodness.
That's where the money goes, kids. It goes into some schmuck's pocket.
Hmm.
Okay? But you got to pay the wrestlers. I'm going to have a guy on your show. I'm going to bring him on. His
Mhm.
name's Mike Murphy. Okay. Now I know you don't like Mike, but he's a friend of mine from the business a long time, and he can tell you what it was like back in the day, on the independent circuit. There were days he wrestled for $5. Okay.
Hmm.
You know.
It's not the dislike part. It's just the disrespect that he showed towards someone that I respect myself. He
Well,
disrespected
I
someone.
understand that, but some
No.
people are they have that way about them.
Yeah.
Of course, Mike is a little rough around the edges, but so am I.
Hmm.
You know.
Right.
Leon's got something to say. What's Leon? Oh, here you go. Leon says, I once stopped at a Denny's in Black Bart. Oh, Black Bart and Oliver Humperdinck. Oh my God,
Mhm.
please. You remember Oliver Humperdinck
Yeah.
from Texas?
Hmm.
Oliver Humperdinck had the most orange hair you ever saw in your life.
Yep.
His
They
hair
had.
used to go from blonde
Hmm.
to orange, back to blonde again, back to.
Yeah.
He was a redhead. He had red hair.
Yeah. He had to go
But
back
it was
and forth.
really like it
Mhm.
was kind of like, I want to say, Danny Bonaducci orange, because
Right.
Danny's hair is really red.
Yeah, and it
Well,
was like,
not anymore. It's kind of gray now, but
yeah, they had to do like a character thing, like, okay, what am I going to be today, kind of thing.
so oh yeah, and Leon's at Magnum TA just missed me by a foot at the TBS studio. Oh wow.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
Leon, what were you doing at the TBS studio in Atlanta on Peachtree Drive? I know the area very, very, very well.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
don't just get to TBS, and you got to be looking for that place. So Amelia,
Yes.
James Beard will be here shortly.
Yeah, we'll be talking a little
Why
bit more
don't we
about.
do this? I am going to run our first commercial.
Oh, yes, please.
And I want everybody to know that tonight's show is brought to you with limited commercial interruption. We are being sponsored tonight by Nightmare Films and Glenn Martin, director, producer of horror films and suspense movies. He was our guest Monday night. Glenn is sponsoring this show tonight with his new film, In the Shadows. I want everybody to take a look at In the Shadows. We'll be right back.
Marlon Hatcher hasn't spoken in 35 years. That's what you're telling me?
That's exactly what I'm telling you.
I find that hard to believe, Doctor.
He just sits in front of the window staring out at nothing. Past the hills, past the trees, past the days and nights, to this moment.
What's going on?
Your wife's been murdered.
What? How?
I think I can answer that question for you, Tom.
Dr. Lucas, what are you doing here?
Harlan has escaped.
Grandpa, where are you?
Here's something.
Oh my god. Jess? Tommy? How are you? Hello? Are you there?
Wow.
That's a hell of a trailer, boy.
I know. I was ready to watch the rest of it. I was like, where's my popcorn?
That movie is called In the Shadows. It
Mhm.
is available on Amazon Prime. You can find it on a number of outlets, but that's the one that's the go-to is Amazon.
Oh, yes.
Be sure to also check out his latest film called The Searching. That's a really interesting film. I'm not going to give away nothing about it. I'm going to play the trailer for you later
Mhm.
and just sit back and pop the popcorn, baby.
Right?
Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Martin, for being our sponsor. Too.
Oh
Thank
my
you.
God. And he was a hell of a guest. I have to tell everybody. On my show Monday night, which Amelia is the co-host of What's the Buzz podcast. And she does a heck of a job producing that show, by the way. Amelia and I had our guest, Glenn Martin, and the entire cast. I mean, the whole cast showed up, except for two people who was doing the movies.
Mhm. Yeah.
So they were working. Look, they have to pay the bills. Got to go to work.
Absolutely.
So who was not with
Georgia
them?
Simmons and Julia
Georgia
Riley were
Simmons.
and Julia Riley were the two that were.
Julia Riley and Georgia Simmons were not with us because they were filming, doing television and a picture. I think Julia was doing a movie. But we had great actor Michael Paré, Bob Romanus from Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Of course, Michael Paré from Eddie and the Cruisers, the Philadelphia Experiment.
Yes.
God, Wrongful Death, The Virgin Suicide. You name. He's done 226 movies so far. Remarkable actor. We had Jennifer Banco. You remember her from Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yes.
What a movie that was. She was a kid when she did that one.
Yeah, very
We also
young.
had Beverly Randolph, who was at Friday the 13th. No, I'm sorry. No. Beverly was Return of the Living Dead.
Yes.
Was Return. Well, that was a hell of a movie, too.
And I was surprised that she was a pilot, too. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was surprised that you knew that.
Yeah, really? That's what you call
What
research.
happens when you do research.
Exactly.
That's what we do research here, folks.
Mhm.
We
Yep.
absolutely do research here
Yep.
for sure.
Yes, we
So
do.
now,
Yeah.
but we are talking about tonight going inside the movie The Iron Claw.
Yeah, and a lot of the movies surprised me too because as we'll talk to James Beard more about that, my son, he and I went to the movies, as you know, because Jeff's right now, can't really go anywhere right now. But
Yeah, how's he doing anyway, your husband?
he's doing a lot better actually. The wound's healing, so he should be up and
Good.
around. They
Good.
said it's like a single layer or so of skin, so it's actually looking so much better. He should be getting his hip replacement soon.
Good.
And
I'll tell you what, folks. Pray for Amelia's husband because he has been through. This poor guy has been through the ringer.
Mhm.
I mean, you want to? Every time he thought he was getting better, he ended up back in the hospital.
Yeah, he's been in the hospital bed since June.
since think about that.
Mhm.
Okay, it's January 24 now.
Mhm.
and he's been in there since June of 23.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. It's been in and out of the
not
hospital.
fun.
No. And so my son, I took him to the movie and part of a birthday present kind of thing. He looked and he was just like this the whole time, just his eyes and his jaw dropped. He's like, "Oh my God." He goes, "Mom," he goes, "this is wrestling." He goes, "What you see now is not wrestling." He goes, "Oh my God, Mom, this." He goes, "I wish I could have seen this." He goes, "I want to watch more of this older wrestling." I said, "Of course." I said, "Go to YouTube, type this in." And he was like, and he was just surprised of the Von Erich brothers. He goes, "Mom, are they cursed?" And I didn't say anything to him. I didn't say a
Well,
word to him.
funny, isn't it, that he
Yeah.
used that word? Are they cursed?
He asked me himself. I
Yeah.
didn't say a word to him during the movie,
Well,
after the movie.
Amelia, that was the question for a long time because this is not something new.
No, it's not.
Because I know quite a bit about the Von Erich boys.
Yeah, he
I
asked me
used to
himself.
watch World Class Championship Wrestling. I watched a lot of stuff from Texas,
Mhm.
Southwest Championship.
Yeah.
By the way, James Beard is part of that Southwest crew.
Yes. Yeah, I saw his bio that he was a referee of them as well, and he had a
Oh yeah,
lot.
he worked for Joe. He knew Joe Blanchard, Tully's father, Tully Blanchard's father. Part of um, probably the most devastating tag team next to the Road Warriors
Mhm,
were the team of Arn Anderson
mhm.
and
Yes.
Tully Blanchard. Um, and they were called in the WWE. They were called the Brain Busters,
Right.
but they were actually part of a larger team with Ole and Gene Anderson called the Minnesota Wrecking Crew.
Right.
Because that's kind of where they all met.
Yeah.
They're all basically from like Wisconsin and Minnesota up in that area, which
Right.
is, believe it or not, Amelia, that's a big wrestling territory up.
Oh, yeah. I want to explore all that.
Just to give you an idea, because here's the old man again, right?
Mm,
Just to give you an idea who came out of there: Rick Rude, Kurt Hennig,
yes.
Larry the Axe Hennig, um, the Road Warriors, Animal and Hawk,
Yes.
Rick Rude, Matt Bourne, the guy that was Doink the Clown, the late Matt Bourne.
Right.
That's just off the top of my head. Leon, who else? Oh my God, but everybody and of course the legendary Eddie Sharkey,
Right.
the guy who trained everybody.
Yeah.
Incredible an area for wrestling. Just Ric Flair came from that area.
Right.
Vern Gagne, you know,
Yeah. They,
incredible wrestling. Just
yeah. They said it was like more of the
remarkable.
upper, like middle up, and then of course the southern. It was like more in the up in the area like that. They
If
said they.
you took the United States
Hmm.
and drew a line right down the middle,
That's where they would
some
be.
of the most awesome wrestling you
Yeah.
ever saw was from Texas all the way up.
Oh
Heck,
yeah.
go to Dallas and make
Hmm.
a line straight up.
Yeah, just like straight right in the middle. It's like all of
Yep,
that, and then everybody else to kind
all
of like joined in
wrestling.
a little bit. Yeah.
Oklahoma, you know,
Hmm.
huge, huge. Jim Ross
Oh yeah,
came
Oklahoma.
from Oklahoma.
Yeah, they
Um, you know, Steve
Arkansas.
Dr. Death Williams.
Yeah, Arkansas was another one too that a lot of people came from.
Leon, yes, the
Yes.
Andersons brothers came from the Minnesota area, Minnesota, Wisconsin area.
Hmm.
Of course, Vern Gagne was more, I'm wanting to say like Minnesota, Minneapolis, really,
Yeah.
in that area.
Well, yours too in the New Jersey area said your neck of the woods as well.
Oh, huge.
Yeah.
I live in Wrestler Row.
Hmm.
In in the day when I was here,
Yes.
we had them. This is just off the top of my head. King Kong Bundy, Alpha Sika, Jimmy Snuka, Magnificent Morocco, Bob Backlund, Larry Pretty Boy Sharp, the Moondogs, J.J. Dillon, who still lives here.
Right.
Um, Bruno Sammartino lived 45 minutes away. King Kong Bundy. Who else? God Almighty. That's just off the top of my head.
Right.
I mean, Buddy Rogers,
Yes.
the legendary NWA WWF World Champion, Buddy Rogers, the guy who became Jimmy Snuka's manager.
Right.
Captain Lou Albano was from the area. Or not was from here, but lived here.
Right.
Because you have to remember back in the day, Amelia, that Vince McMahon Sr., Vince McMahon's dad, the original Vince McMahon, he ran New York,
Connecticut,
Philadelphia, Delaware. That was his New Jersey. That was his loop. Okay. Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Maryland, Baltimore.
Right.
Okay. 5 or 6 states. All he needed. That's all he needed. He made a full-time promotion.
Right.
In 5 states. Now, I want you to think about something. You're from Texas.
Right.
Texas is a very, very big state.
Yes.
Okay. It's like its own country. Down
That's what I was going to say. It's its own country.
It is. It really is. Texas is kind of its own country.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. At the time, back in the day, growing up, Texas had 7 full-time promotions.
Yes.
Corpus Christi, Dallas, Fort Worth,
San Antonio,
El Paso. The Guerreros were in El Paso.
Yes.
Port Arthur.
Yes.
NWA ran out of Port Arthur. God, the Janis Joplin was from there too, by the way.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And I'm missing one, but it was one more, and I forgot.
Is it Lubbock area?
Amarillo.
Yes.
Amarillo. The Funks.
Yes.
How can we? Because
Scott Casey too.
We just lost Terry.
Yeah, and Scott Casey was from that area too.
Yeah. So there you go. 7. That's 7 promotions.
Right.
Just that we can remember. And there were probably a lot of smaller ones too.
Oh, yeah.
Those were the big ones. And they were all associated with the National Wrestling Alliance.
Yes.
Every one of them, even Fritz von Erich, was part of the NWA. A big part of the NWA because he was on the board of directors.
Yes.
Along with Sam Mushnick and people like that. Oh my God, who else? I'm wanting to say, what the heck was his name? Lou Thez.
Lou Thez, yes, he was a big,
I had a brain
promoter.
fart to think of Lou Thez.
And Gary Hart.
Oh, Gary Hart was a genius.
Yes.
Genius.
He knew talent just like that. He could spot it just by looking at them. Like that. And then
see, Rogers teamed with Bob Orton Sr. for yes, he did. Buddy Rogers did team up.
Wahoo McDaniel, we had him as well.
Oh, Wahoo, yeah. I'm a friend of Wahoo's wife, Karen.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember she was a fantastic guest. I love her. She was a sweetheart.
I'll get her back for you. Vince Sr. said he would never compete against other areas. He, unlike his son, respected the territory. Territory is spelled wrong, Leon, but I get what you're saying. You're absolutely.
He competed. Right. He competed with Ted Turner. As a matter of fact, he did compete with him.
Vince Jr. did.
Yes.
Not Vince Sr.
No, but he's like forgot.
Vince Sr. had a gentleman's agreement. What they did, and I have rare footage. I'm going to show it on the show sometime.
Yeah.
It's rare footage of all the promoters from across the country, the NWA promoters, and they all had a meeting, and it's on film.
Yes.
And they all agreed. Not one person. I want you to think about this, folks. Yeah. Not one person signed the contract. It was all like this.
Yeah, handshake.
All done on a handshake.
And that meant a lot back then.
It meant everything back then.
Yeah. and
James
son
Beard,
threw it
we
out the
need you
window.
here, my friend.
And his son threw it out the window. He's like, I'm not doing this. I'm going to compete with every single body until he was number
Well,
one.
I'll tell you what, Amelia, we're going to have to get onto this
Okay.
subject.
Yeah.
I know
The
it's your
Iron
show, but
Claw.
I got to bring you up here.
No, that's fine. The
Let's
Iron
talk about
Claw.
this movie, The Iron Claw. So,
Sure.
what did you think? You saw the movie. What did you think?
I had some good and negative things about it. The beginning of it, I mean, I understand how uh I didn't agree with, well, I knew he had his favorites. I did. But,
You're talking about when you say he had his
Fritz.
who he the Fritz.
Fritz.
Yeah, I want you to be clear about
Yeah.
because
Well,
somebody just tuning in is going to go, who's she talking about?
well, I think they did a great thing with casting Fritz because it looked just like the dad. What do you think?
I had a big problem with the casting.
Well, the Fritz though, I think they did a great job with casting
They
the dad.
did an amazing job with
Right.
Fritz.
They did a fantastic
Here's
job with
James
him.
Beard. Here he is.
And,
Hey,
hello.
James.
Here I am.
Oh,
Hey.
my brother. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well now. I'm sorry about that.
No, listen, with no apologies necessary.
Oh.
I believe fervently, better safe than sorry.
Yeah.
Our late friend, Charlie Thunderblood Norris. Charlie was a dear friend of ours.
Yeah, good guy.
Very, very. He's been on our show 5 or 6 times. It was a big loss when we lost Charlie.
Yeah, it'll be
But
February.
Charlie
It'll be a
used to
year.
drive, Amelia, I'm not even tell James.
Drive and talk. Drive and talk.
It would drive us nuts. It's Charlie, call me when you get home. Don't talk. Don't, because it used to unnerve the hell out of me.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I know the feeling. Yeah.
Let me tell everybody who you are. This is Texas Wrestling Insiders, ladies and gentlemen. He is legendary in his own right. James Beard was a referee, a promoter, longtime friend of the Von Erich wrestling family, particularly friend of Fritz Von Erich, the Iron Claw of Texas, as it were. Because James, he really did run Texas with an iron claw, didn't he?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, he was kind of a rough, gruff old guy sometimes, but he really was quite a great businessman. To tell the truth about it.
Amazing businessman, as I hear. How did he? If you're aware of it, I'd love to know the story. How did Fritz acquire the sportatorium with no money?
Well,
I heard there was a famous story that and you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Yeah, and I probably couldn't get it exactly right, but when Fritz came back to Texas, the Dallas promotion was actually a part of the Houston territory. Morris Siegel had that, and they got into a little bit of a I guess disagreement over some things over the years, and eventually, just to cut to the chase, Fritz kind of edged him out a little bit, and it ended up being Dallas being the main booking office, and Houston was just a part of that. But somehow he managed to, excuse me, with Mark McLemore also was part of that, and somehow he managed to gain access of the control of the thing. There was a long story involved, and I couldn't get it right if I tried to tell it to you, but
the gist of what we heard, because we do a lot of research on the show, the gist of what we heard, it was a lot of backdoor politicking, a lot of people doing kind of like back channel favors. Yeah. That's where the money went. It didn't go to the sportatorium. It went toward piecing everybody off, is what we heard.
And Fritz had gained a lot of control and a lot of power just simply for being who he was. And so over and doing so well, and there was a while, if I understand the whole story right, that he had to actually move out of the sportatorium for a while until he really gained control of everything. Then he moved back into it, and the rest is history.
My understanding, and this is a story of legends, James. It's really a legendary story because nobody can tell us if it's true or not. But my understanding is that Fritz Von Erich had the ring in the sportatorium permanently cemented.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah. The ring was. It was not only used for a wrestling ring; it was also used for music, for concerts and things.
Yes, he would
So
rent it
Really?
out.
yeah. So it was
Mhm.
built into the sportatorium and as a permanent fixture, and there was an old wooden floor around it originally, and uh,
So did they use it like as a stage?
yes, yeah, they would
Yeah.
Are
just
you
take.
shitting me?
Oh
Yeah, he
yeah,
would rent it out for different
yeah,
concerts and things
yeah.
like that.
They used it. They used the wrestling ring as a stage.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. In fact, there was a
Oh
long
my
time.
God, that's
There was a
crazy.
long time period there when the wrestling would be on one night, and then they had what they called the Big D Jamboree, which was a TV show that had country music on it, and all the big names played there, and they just took the ropes down. You could see the post, the ring rope,
Mhm.
ring
I
post.
heard a story, James, that Elvis Presley performed in that ring.
More than once. Yeah,
Did he
yeah,
really?
yeah.
That's
When
funny.
back in oh, I don't remember what year it was now. Percy Pringle was there, and he was working out of Fritz's office, and he was cleaning out a bunch of things, and he found an old contract that Elvis had signed, and if I remember correctly, Elvis and his band, I'm talking about him and the band both, played there for like $200 and something,
Wow.
so
Wow.
Elvis
Could you
played there,
imagine paying Elvis Presley $250?
yeah. Yeah, yeah, but a lot of the big names played at the Sportatorium.
Wow.
Wow.
It was about
Amelia,
Uh-huh.
questions for James Beard. This is,
Well,
by the way, James, this is her show, but I have a horrible habit of
you
taking
took over.
over.
You took
no,
over,
that's
didn't you?
okay. I
That's
I
okay.
I like the questions he was asking. First of all, I want to say happy belated birthday
Well, thank you. Appreciate
and
that.
thank you and welcome to my first
Absolutely.
show as my first guest.
All right.
Um, I really appreciate you coming on, and I also wanted to say, how long have you been a referee? First of all.
Oh, this is almost 40 years. Getting
Oh
close.
wow.
Getting close to
Wow.
it. Yeah. Yeah.
So, what was your first wrestling referee match?
Oh my gosh. Honestly, I don't even remember the first match. When I first started, they did some of these little house shows and things, trying to figure out whether that's what I wanted to do or not. I'd been in the music business, and I
Mhm.
kind of got pushed into the wrestling business by some of the wrestlers that I
Are
got
you
to know.
serious? Oh, wait,
Really?
Yeah,
hold on. Hold on,
yeah,
Amelia. I got to jump back in here.
Go ahead. Go ahead. I knew you were going
James,
to ask
but
a question.
that's, I have to tell you something, James. That's my background.
yeah.
That's what happened to me. I'm, a music. Basically, here's what happened. I was a music historian. I became a DJ, did radio. I booked bands. I booked clubs. I managed bands. And then I got snookered, I want to call it. I got snookered into the wrestling business.
Hey,
Mhm.
we have the same history.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got,
I was playing
it's,
around the Dallas area and got to know a bunch of the guys, and I'd watched
yeah.
wrestling all my
It,
life, and
it's like a drug, isn't it? You get suckered
yeah,
into this stuff.
yeah,
Bad.
yeah,
Right?
yeah.
I'm sorry, Amelia. Go ahead.
No, no, no. That's fine. No,
I
I
had to
knew you were
jump
going
in
to
there.
talk about that, but and you were saying about your how much of impact did you have in the movie itself, The Iron Claw?
Well, it was kind of funny. I when I was asked if I would be interested in doing it, I had no idea what my role would be, other than I knew that I'd probably play a referee, obviously. And uh, I got down there, and they knew my background. They knew I knew the guys that were actually in the movie, and I was kind of Chavo Guerrero was the wrestling director.
Yes.
He put all the wrestling matches together and the spots together that we were doing in the scenes and things, and he also trained the actors beforehand for several months, working on them, teaching them the basics and that kind of thing.
Mhm.
And excuse me, I got a little bit of a cold.
That's
Uh,
okay.
but they when I got there, it was like they knew my background, and they knew that I knew all these guys, and I was kind of leaned on to kind of guide them in how these guys would act and react and move and that kind of thing. So that was kind of my role there, plus being in the scenes too.
Oh, okay.
Amelia, may I ask a question of James?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. James, as you were coming in here tonight, Amelia and I were just about to discuss the casting of the film.
Mhm.
Amelia thought
Sorry.
if you need to answer that, go right ahead.
No,
I
that's
could
fine.
put you on mute.
No, no, it's okay. People don't know I'm doing. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, we were just discussing the casting of the film. Amelia indicated that she loved the casting. I, on the other
Well,
hand,
I just like the casting of the dad. I thought it
yeah,
was spot on. That's
yeah. Well, I'll tell you,
hopefully,
he
yeah, nailed
was
it.
amazing.
Yeah.
Hey, I love to know where they found a guy that looked like Fritz, because
yeah.
Fritz is kind of a unique looking character.
True.
hmm
But they
Yeah.
did a great job. Here's the problem I have with this, and it's
Mhm.
again, this is maybe I'm being overcritical, James, but the actor who played Kerry,
Mhm.
should have played Kevin. The actor who played Kevin should have played Kerry.
Carrie,
And
right?
the guy who played David looked nothing like any of the Von Erichs.
But yeah, it's kind of a that's been one of those things that's been bounced around by a lot of people over the last, well, ever since the
Mhm.
movie, the idea of the movie came out and started getting a little publicity and that sort of thing. Uh, I think the thing is and you're right. I mean, Zach was definitely jacked up, and
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh
yeah,
brother, was he?
and Jeremy was a little bit more, I guess, built the way Kevin was built,
That's
a little
his
more
name,
streamlined.
Yes.
Jeremy
Right.
White. That's his name.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
and
But
Zac Efron. Yeah.
I kind of honestly, I kind of ignored all of that, the physical thing,
hmm
because the movie's really not a wrestling movie.
No.
It's a story about a family, and a tragic story at
Yeah.
that. And the movie is really about Kevin and about how he
That's
dealt.
what I was thinking.
Yeah,
They
how
made
he
it
dealt.
more toward him.
Yeah,
It was the entire film, James, seemed to have been from Kevin's
Point of
was.
view.
Yeah.
told through his eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, and if you think about it, here's the older brother, and basically he's getting overlooked when all the opportunities come by,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then of course he's having to deal with all the tragedies and that kind of thing,
Yeah.
and that's really what it's about. It's about how he
Yeah.
dealt with those things. It's not really about wrestling at all. It's about that.
And I'm glad to
But-
hear
but-
you say that.
Yeah.
It's the story of a family dynamic, and here has always been the problem as I see it. The idea of wrestling families, James, has not been new. It's never been new, particularly in Texas, where things are very clannish.
Yes.
Joe Blanchard, Tully Blanchard, Terry Funk, um,
Dory
Dory
Yeah.
Senior,
Yes.
all the Funks, the
Yes.
Guerreros. You see where I'm going with this?
Oh yeah, yeah.
And it's very, very family, but every territory had a family.
Oh, yes.
essentially.
Yeah,
And then you had the brilliant genius of the late Gary Hart, who, boy, is he sorely missed.
absolutely.
What an amazing! I love that man. What an
Gary
amazing!
was a dear friend. Yeah,
He
learned
had
lot
a
from him.
brilliant mind for the business.
Oh,
But
yeah.
But here's the thing, though, and the family dynamic is not a new thing, but with regard to the Von Erich family, there was this underlying tension to be something that they did not want to be.
No.
When you see in the film, and we're going to see it here in a minute, you see in the film where the Jeremy playing Kerry Von Erich says, when his Fritz says, I think you need to join your brothers in wrestling, and he says, I would love to, but he really didn't want to.
He did not.
He did not want to be there. He wanted to pursue
Olympics
football.
and Olympics. He wanted to be in
And
Olympics.
Olympics. He wanted to be, an athlete, a bona fide athlete. Not that wrestlers aren't, but let's be honest, James, they're made fun of. People mock and ridicule wrestlers.
there was some disappointment from Kerry that he didn't get to carry through with the Olympic thing and that sort of deal. But in the end, I mean, he would have been joining the boys no matter what at some point,
Right.
even if he'd gone through the Olympics and that. And those guys grew up in wrestling. I mean, they were wrestling by the time they were big enough to move, you know. So that was going to happen. The only one of the brothers that really didn't care about joining was Mike, and that was pretty much shown in the movie.
And he was forced onto it, I believe.
Well, I mean, forced, you know, pushed, felt obligated, however you want to put it, you know. His real love and his real passion was music. And
music, he was a great singer from what I heard.
He was talented, and that's what he loved to do, and that's what he wanted to do. But after David died, you know, there was that hole, and he felt obligated to fill it, and that was, I thought that was one of the really strongest points of the movie that was the young man that played that Mike did an incredible job with it.
Oh yes,
James, there were moments in this film that made me angry. There are moments in this film that brought me to tears. There were moments in this film I wanted to reach through the screen and choke the Fritz character. That's how good he was.
Yeah, I got to be honest with you. It was a little rough on Fritz. Fritz
that was going to be my question to you.
Yeah.
Did they take too many liberties with Fritz?
I think, Fritz could be gruff, and he could be rough, and he could be demanding sometimes, but he was not mean. He was never. I never saw him be mean to anybody, and not to the boys or anything. I mean, he was.
You knew him well.
Well, I didn't know him as well as some people did. I mean, Gary Hart knew him better than I did, and they had a love-hate relationship, you know.
But you at least you had access to him, and you could talk to him, right?
Well, I mean, he wasn't that hard to talk to if you wanted to talk.
Well,
to him.
that was going to be my question. Was he like for James Beard to come up to him? Was he approachable, or did he like? I don't have time right now.
He wasn't the. It almost made him look. I don't know, obsessed of some way, and he just wasn't like that. And I think that got, you know, that got carried a little too far in the character, but. You know, and it made him look bad. And even Kevin has said that's the one thing about the movie that he thought was a little disappointing is that it made his dad look worse than
made him look like a mean dad.
Yeah, I know Amelia has questions for you, James, about the so-called Von Erich curse. But before I get there, I do want to show people a clip of this film.
Yes.
They are our sponsors for this month. Thank you to A24 Films for sponsoring our show for this month. We showed this clip Monday night, and it received unanimously good reviews. So let's take a look at this clip, James, and everyone. And then after the break here, Amelia, ask away. Okay.
Absolutely.
I'm telling you, it's your show, right? Here we go.
Ever since I was a child, people said my family was cursed. Mom tried to protect us with God. Pop tried to protect us with wrestling. He said if we were the toughest, the strongest, nothing could ever hurt us. I believed him. We all did.
Morning. Pants tomorrow, please, David.
Harry, I want you to join your brothers in the ring.
Yes, sir. I love that.
Now, we all know Carrie's my favorite, then Kev, then David, then Mike. But the rankings can always change.
What do you want in life, Kevin and Eric?
More ribs? I want to be with my family. You know, be with my brothers.
What do you like to do with your brothers?
Together, we can do anything.
We're here to restore justice to the Wrestling Federation that our father built with his own two hands. The hands that will pass down to us. The hands that will deliver the iron claw to you. So what do you think? Like we're alive.
I love your family, Kevin.
Don't we, Uncle? Yes, sir.
Oh, man, that makes me so happy.
Can I talk to you about something, Mom? Dad's too tough on us. You gotta say something.
Baby, that's what your brothers are for.
Feel that? You feel that? That's pressure.
You're pushing too hard.
I'm fine, Kev. Seriously, I'm just sick.
I'm scared, man. It all out of control.
That's a terrible accident.
I should have stopped him. I need to think about my family.
Your job is to wrestle.
Live up to that deal or we are through.
I told you to look out for him!
I just love being out there with you guys. It's the only thing that matters to me.
The Bonner will forever be the greatest family in the history of wrestling.
Wow.
That was the Iron Claw. Amelia, before we do anything, I have to say, for the record, the actors who played the fabulous Freebirds were spot on.
Yes,
those guys were great, especially the guy that played Michael P.S. Hayes.
That one was unbelievable.
He had his inflection and his nuances down to a science.
They could have got his son
really
to play the part of Michael Hayes, and that would have just been spot on too. Like,
James, did you have any say in the casting?
No, I didn't. Not in the casting. Those are little things like you're talking about, like the little nuances, the way guys move, the way they reacted, that kind of thing. I got a lot of input in that, and that was really, they kind of leaned on me to give them the straight dope about how these guys really were, and they nailed it, they really did. And Zach was the same way with Kevin. He was very intent on trying to get Kevin's essence in the ring, and which Kevin was a very aggressive guy, and I thought he did a wonderful job of that.
Yeah, wrestling the barefoot and everything like that too. Get in and out of the ring and
Yeah.
Amelia, the Von Erich curse. It's all yours.
Yeah.
I'm not touching that one.
Well, I mean, my son, he actually went with me to the movie. I didn't tell him anything about the movie at all whatsoever, about wrestling back and then. And he even said, he says, "Mom, were they cursed at all?" And I didn't say a word to him at all.
Yeah. If you ask Kevin has no belief in a curse whatsoever. And I don't think any of them did. I mean, there was, you look at what happened, losing all those boys and the way it happened, and then all the things that surrounded the world-class promotion, not just the Von Erich boys, but Gino Hernandez, Bruiser Brody, so many things happened that you think, why is this happening to this one group of guys, and you think, well, that's got to be a curse, but I don't think any of us ever believed that. I think it's just a lot of bad decisions in some cases, and in some cases, just bad luck. And it's sad, really sad that one family could lose that many boys, and one promotion could have that many things happen to them. But I don't think anybody believed in a curse.
Is there a reason why they mentioned it in the movie?
Oh, excuse me?
Is there a reason why they mentioned that in the movie?
Well, because I think it's kind of public, kind of a public thing, that's out there, that there is a curse, and that kind of thing.
James, I have a question regarding that. Sure. With regard to the boys themselves, was it a matter of too much too soon for those guys? And how much? I mean, let's be honest, they were all young, good-looking, well-built kids. I mean, you can't deny that the Von Erich boys were good-looking kids, and they had a lot of girls. They had a lot of girls that wanted to get with them.
Yeah, you have no idea. Yeah,
I don't hear.
He's like, I don't know how to answer that one.
No, we have no language parameter here,
No,
so you
go
can.
ahead.
We
You
got
can
great
curse away.
sponsors, so you
Well,
can do
it's
whatever you.
not about cursing. It's just, no, the
A
binary
lot of
boys.
sexual innuendo, probably.
I rode with Kevin, just the two of us together for quite a while at one time, and we talked about everything you'd think of, and he actually said to me one time that I think we had too much too soon, just like you said, and that was part of the problem, but not all of it. I mean, some of it's just like I said, just making bad decisions or bad luck, and there was a lot of pressure on those guys. They were rock stars. They were.
Well, yeah. The other thing,
You know,
Amelia and I talked about that. The one thing that we're not clear about, because we've had discussions about this, and we don't know. That's why you're here.
Yeah.
Is where did the drugs come in, and which one of the boys was the first to introduce the drugs to the other brothers?
Well, I can't answer that. I really can't. Because I don't know.
Okay.
But I mean, in the wrestling business, your body takes a beating. I mean, and back in those days, you're working 6-7 nights a week, and sometimes twice on Sunday. That old saying is true.
Yeah.
And the guys are beat up and tired, and it's rough. It's a rough life. At least it was during the territory days, when you had to travel all the time and be at this next town, and sometimes it'd be several hours away, and you don't get much sleep, and you're taking the bumps, and your body's busted up, and injuries, and you can't quit working because you don't get paid if you don't work.
Yeah,
and,
that's right.
and so drugs, especially like painkillers and that sort of thing, became kind of a common thing in the business, and then of course other things get involved too. And each guy's different. Some guys went through it all and stayed just totally clean. But
the reason I asked that question, James, and I don't know if this is true, but the movie seemed to imply that it was Gino that introduced it to Curry.
Yeah.
Well, I don't.
Because there's a scene in the movie.
There's a scene in there where they're like lying, Coke on the table and stuff.
Yeah. Well, no, things were around before Gino ever came around. But
right.
But I mean, Gino probably enhanced a little of it sometimes.
I'm sure. By the way, you knew Gino pretty well.
But Gino is another story. I mean, he lived that kind of life. He was he lived in the fast lane, and what you saw in the ring is what you saw. What he was.
And my problem with David Manning too is like whenever Gino would say, "Hey, David Manning, I have a problem. I think somebody's after me," or I said somebody. David Manning, right then to me, should have said, "Okay, Gino, let's figure this out." That's what I have a problem with, because I'm a big Gino fan.
It wouldn't do any good. Because those guys aren't going to. They're not going to admit they have a problem. They may.
Sure.
Especially at that level of things.
Well, it's interesting we're talking about Gino at this time, because next week Amelia's the entire show is about Gino Hernandez.
At the end of the month, actually, it's like
is it
31st? Okay. Yeah.
Well, I wanted to find out while we have James here.
I can talk to you more about the Von Erichs than I can about Gino. I really wasn't. I was.
Oh, okay.
I didn't hang out with Gino, but okay.
Maybe we could get to someone about that, because I have a lot to pick with David Manning about him, but that's a different show. But anyway, but as far as like the Von Erichs and stuff like that, did you prefer to be a referee more of the Von Erichs, or it didn't matter, or you were just told that you were going to be a referee with their matches, or?
Oh no! I mean, when you first start out in this business, and especially at that level, you just do whatever you're told. I was thrown into whatever match. I was just happy to be there.
How long was it, James, before you were trusted with information?
Not very long.
How long did it? Well, let's put it this way: there's a term they use in your wrestling business.
Smartened up.
Yeah. How long did it take you to get smartened up?
I think because I got into it a little bit. I was a little bit older than some guys when they get into it, because I'd been in music and done that kind of thing and been around, and I talked to all these guys and kind of gotten to know some of them. So I think they kind of trusted me right off. I don't remember ever being, kind of kayfabe by the guys.
Right.
There's and you never know where that point comes when you think you become one of the boys, but it happens. There's a point somewhere in your career where you go, oh, they're, I'm one of them now.
Yes.
Amelia, there's a word I haven't heard in forever, kayfabe.
Yeah.
And nobody knows what kayfabe is.
No, they don't.
No.
They don't. And
right now, it's all sports entertainment, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Well,
I'll tell you what.
I'll be honest with you. It never really meant a whole lot anyway.
We have we're up against a hard commercial break. Amelia, I'm going to hit this last commercial.
Okay.
And then it's all you, okay?
Okay. Thank you.
You got it, kid. We'll be right back after this word, folks.
Jess wanted to start a business when something surprising happened.
Today, I'm going to teach you how to crochet.
She started crocheting, like a lot. And her friends noticed.
Jess, you need to sell those.
So, she signed up for Shopify and started building her business.
Yes, I love that.
And after a lot of hard work, this happened.
Oh my gosh, I just made my first sale!
You see, every day, hundreds of businesses get their first sale on Shopify.
We got ding!
And the next could be you. So when you're ready to bring your idea to life
and become your own boss,
build it on Shopify.
Do you have sweaty balls or volleyball netty balls? It's time to make them ready balls. The Manscaped.com Lawnmower 3.0 will do the job and clean your knob with its patented no-nick head, so your head will function as desired. Enter promo code Wrestling Future for a generous 20% discount. That's enter Wrestling Future for a 20% discount. Manscaped.com and Wrestling with the Future, going balls to the walls with Manscaped.com and the Lawnmower 3.0. Your balls will thank you, and so will we.
You're gonna die.
Ayun na, pre. Kaya siguro lagi nakatingin, kasi yun na lamang ang magagawa. Inaabangan ako na mawala, kaso lang ang malala, nadapa sa katingala.
Game? Sa kapunta to the moon, road trip, vroom vroom, skr skr, zoom zoom.
No time better up, I can help. Let's not let me get ahead of myself. With your low mouth, tell me you don't wanna get stroked. Why so silly, get the lotto and tell. Why still with me, I'm bothered.
And we are back.
Here you go. It's all you, kid.
Yeah. Again, we are here with referee James Beard. Thank you again for joining us on my first show.
Absolutely.
And of course, Angelo Mad Dog DeCipio. Thank you. As we were getting back to the Iron Claw movie, again, we were talking about you being the referee and, of course, the Von Erich movie. And so what did your family think about the movie? And you being in light, as they say.
Yeah, well, I think looking at it just from a movie standpoint, it's a great movie. It's incredible. I think it's very, very well done. Acting is top notch. I think if you go and look at it from if you're a wrestling fan and you go in there expecting it to be a documentary, then you can pick it apart and find all these things that that wasn't right and this wasn't right and that kind of thing. But my family, who didn't know a lot of those things and didn't live through any of them like I did, they watch it and they enjoyed it. My friends, all my friends, the same way, you know, because they don't know. They don't know that some of the timelines were changed. They don't know that some of the things were altered, to do the movie. And so it doesn't matter to them. And if you go in there with that mindset, I think you're going to see an incredible picture.
Oh, absolutely. That's what I did too. I went in because I heard bring your tissues. So if you are going to watch the movie, please bring your tissues because you are going to cry. And my son, he just, like I said, he just turned 30 today. Yeah. And it's a bittersweet because, as you know, some wrestlers don't live to be the age of 30. And I went in with the mindset. I said, I'm not going to tell you the movie. I'm just going to watch you see it. And when, of course, Carrie went in with the crutches, he's like, what? I didn't tell him anything. And he said, what happened? I said, I'll let you know. I'll let you know later because I'm not going to give away the movie. But, and he's like, really, Mom? Oh my God. It's like, yeah, just watch the movie and we'll find out later. Google after you watch the movie. But he's like, oh my God, Mom, all of this. He goes, the poor boys. I said, but Mom, he goes, Mom, but they had excellent wrestling careers. I said, yeah, they did. He goes, but it was tragic that they all lost their lives so soon. I said, but they all lived to have great careers, great dads. And he says, but Kevin's the only one. He goes, yes, Kevin's the only one. And he said, where is he now? And I said, well, he's back in Texas, from what I understand, right?
Kevin,
with his family.
Right.
And he lives here now with his family, and they could all be happier. And I'm glad that
Kevin's very happy. Yeah.
Yeah, and I said he did it from his point of view, his standpoint. And if you was to give anybody any advice as far as being a referee now and then, what would you say about wrestling back then to now?
Oh my gosh, it's such a different world now. The things have changed so much in the business. When I started in most of my career, my role as a referee was part of every match. I was one of the workers, just like everybody else was.
Yes.
I just had a different role. These days, a referee basically just has to kind of be there and make sure he doesn't make a mistake and count the right time and that kind of thing. You're not calling the match or developing the match as you go, which is what we mostly did back in those days. And that was so much fun to do that. And my role as being part of that and working with those guys to help them make their matches better or as good as it can be, that was something you take a lot of pride in. It's just so different now. I wish those guys would experience what we experienced the way we did.
Exactly. And that's what I want to do with the wrestling, is let people know what it was like back then compared to what it is now.
Well, it's just it's a whole different world. I mean, now it's more of a performance. In those days, we did what's called, we actually worked a match. And what I mean by that is you have where you want to go. But you develop it on the fly. You develop it step by step, and you have some ebbs and flows. And it's about wrestling should be about creating and maintaining some kind of feeling for fans, and not just a reaction, but make them care.
And get them involved, right? Get the fans involved.
There has to be an emotional investment somehow. And I don't see that a lot these days. No. I think all I see now is a lot of reaction to things.
Yes.
There's a lot of people today, they do that flip-flop and flying all over the place.
Well, and that's what I'm talking about. A lot of it's just physical gymnastics.
I like to see these kids today. James, I would love to see some of these guys today try to throw down like Scott Casey and Frank Bruiser Brody and Tiger Conway and Wendell Cooley, people like that. That Bruce Swayze we've had Bruce on the show many times.
I'm working with a promotion in Texas right now called Texas Style Wrestling, and that's we're basically getting back to that kind of format.
Brother, I love it.
It's something that's kind of been a passion for me for a long time to do that. And
beautiful.
And, that's something that I'm determined that I'm going to either do it or fail one or the other. And we're getting there. We're
now, James, you were part of a promotion there called Southwest Fury. What's the story with that? Are they still a thing?
Well, see, that's a sore spot with this guy. We were doing that. We were getting that kind of reaction from people. We were going back to the basics and getting that old Texas hardcore style of wrestling going, and that's the kind of thing we were presenting at that time. And because I'll just say some certain influences got involved and things went south real fast with that. And that was one of those opportunities I felt like I'm finally getting to do things the way I want to do it. And it kind of the rug kind of got pulled out from under me. And then this
I'm a firm believer. I really am, James, a firm believer that if you want something done right, you got to do it yourself.
Exactly.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
really believe that, because when
Well-
you have to rely, this is the problem I had as a promoter. I had to rely on other people who didn't see my vision, and therefore it didn't become my vision anymore. It became their vision.
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
at some point you have to like separate yourself from that.
Well,
Yes.
there's another thing in wrestling too, that a lot of times if you begin to have some success, which we were doing, we were cooking.
Yes.
You start getting a lot of people that want to get involved. They want a piece of it, you know, and they're not always thinking about that vision. They're thinking about themselves. And
Absolutely.
and you know, that's basically what happened. And now this has come back up. I really was ready to quit. and
Oh
this
my
came
goodness.
back up.
Amelia, you know what the biggest problem is, Amelia?
What is
They
it?
all think they're going to get rich off of being a promoter. Here's the thing, though. The only people getting rich off of promoting wrestling are people who can afford to buy big national TV time.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, you should only be involved in wrestling for one reason. You love it.
Absolutely.
Don't forget about making money, because you're probably going to go in the hole before you make a dime.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay?
Yeah. Sometimes you have
Yeah.
to do that first. You have to go in the hole before you can do anything else.
Yeah.
I
used to have to go to the ATM machine to take money out to pay the boys.
Mhm.
You know?
I'm a firm believer that there's a market out there for a more traditional style.
Oh,
And,
yes.
and I don't have any visions of getting rich with it, but I do believe that there's a place for it, and I believe that there's a way that you can sustain if you do it the right way and stick with it.
Yeah.
When you get that sucker up and rolling, you get your hiney right back over here.
Yeah, because I want wrestling back. I don't want sports
Yeah.
entertainment. I want wrestling back.
Oh, we
is
want
what I
wrestling back in
I
a
want
worse way.
Yes.
You know, I hear that from so many people these days. You know, the problem with some of the bigger companies right now. Well, you know, you got two of them really.
Yes.
But basically, they're playing to a very small audience, smart marks, basically. And,
Yeah.
And
well, what
you
about
know, that's why they haven't grown in the last several years.
I have a loaded question for you. You
Okay.
talking about the smart marks, right?
Yeah.
It's funny because Eddie Mansfield said to me, "If you're smart, you're not a mark, and if you're a mark, you're not smart."
Well, Eddie has a way with words, yeah.
And Eddie was thank you, Eddie Mansfield, because Eddie Mansfield's the one who gave me your phone number. Yeah. The other thing I want to ask you, and it's kind of like a loaded question. It has to do with today's product.
Mm-hmm.
Is Tony Khan a money mark?
Of course.
Okay.
Well,
there you go.
Let me put it this way: he's not in the traditional sense, because he already had the money,
right?
You know, and nobody, you know, I don't. The money marks and what I think are some guys that somebody goes to and tries to solicit them to do this, you know, that kind of thing. I think this is his fantasy deal, and you know, he ran out of ideas real fast. And
yeah, oh boy,
and the problem is that he's got some talent there, and got a lot of guys that are there that have good minds and know how to do this. Just got to listen to them. But you know, when it's your play toy and you treat it that way, that's what you end up with. And
there's nothing I hate worse. And Amelia, you and I talked about this.
Yes.
There's nothing I hate worse than a guy who comes in with a pocket full of money, throws around enough money to get some big talent, and does absolutely nothing with them.
Yeah,
that
such
drives
a loss.
me nuts.
Yeah,
it's
such a lost opportunity right there.
Oh my God!
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, by the same token, you know, Mr. McMahon, who has equally as much money as Mr. Khan, but even if he lacks money, Vince has something going for him that a lot of people didn't, which is longevity. He's been around for 60+ years.
Longevity, and they have a formula there that works for them.
Yes,
exactly.
You know, that's just what they do. You know,
yeah,
they are what they are. You know, but you know, like I said, there's a place for an alternative, and there's an opportunity to be an alternative. And instead of doing that, you do what you see.
Absolutely.
You know? Yes, exactly.
Amelia, we are
exactly up against
24
some
past
time.
the hour. So,
Yeah.
and I know that Mr. Beard has
So
things he wants to do, like eat
yes,
dinner, and
yes. I want to
Well,
say thank you so much for being our first guest on the show, and I want to invite you back again.
Anytime.
absolutely.
I do want to make one point though,
Sure.
and as we talked about the Von Erichs, and that's what we're talking about. That those guys were all great guys.
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
super people, and I hope that doesn't get lost in all of this.
Oh no.
And that's really James. Thank you for saying that. It's
Yes.
really important. Say what we will about the acting performance or whether somebody was cast. Look at the overall film, and remember that this was a family and real people that had real flesh, blood, and emotion.
Feelings, emotions.
Exactly.
There were a lot of things they got right as far as the emotions and some of the things. And Pam, Kevin's wife, she definitely is the backbone of that family. And
no question about it. Yeah, somebody had
only thing she may argue about a little bit is it's probably Kevin is the one that chased her instead of the other way around.
all right.
But yeah, she's an incredible lady and raised a great family, and those two boys that you see out there sometimes, Marshall and Ross.
Yeah.
They're great kids, man. Let me tell you,
Yeah.
and the two daughters the same way. But I just didn't want it to get lost. That all those guys were great. Carrie's one of the sweetest guys you ever want to meet. And it was it's a tragic thing, but they made mistakes. There's no question about it. But watch the film as a movie and a story, and don't go in there trying to think, I'm going to pick this thing apart because this didn't happen this way or that didn't happen that way. You were talking about Carrie's leg. It didn't happen that way. It didn't happen the night after he won the matches. And it wasn't cut off that high. It was just like an angle
my understanding, because I actually spoke to somebody who knew Kerry, they said his foot was amputated from the ankle.
From the ankle down.
And it wasn't even originally amputated. And when he first did it, it was broken so bad they fused it together. And Kerry tried to come back too fast, injured it again, and then they had to amputate it. And that's where a lot of the prescription drugs got involved. And he had a lot of problem with it. But
and then when they had mentioned about David wanting to go to Japan, I'm like, please don't go to Japan. Please don't go to Japan. I mean, I kept wanting to change the movie. Please just stay here.
But I can tell you stories about that too. I mean, Skandar Akbar told me himself that he talked to David just before he went. He'd been in the hospital in the emergency room because of his stomach. He wasn't well when he went over there.
He wanted to stay in the United States. He didn't want to go, but
and that that scenario alone it sparks enough debate to warrant a show, because he knew he wasn't feeling well, but yet he felt pressured to go.
Yes, he did.
Because Fritz was like, again, they played the Fritz card here.
Yeah, well, I think I think it was more he felt obligated.
He felt obligated for.
I believe that.
And there's a big difference.
I believe that, absolutely.
And
I think he felt like if he didn't fulfill his obligations to his Japanese contract, that he would be he would never get the opportunity to do it again.
Well, and I can relate to that, because there's been a lot of times when I didn't feel right, or maybe the weather was bad, and I just had to be somewhere, and I was going to do it no matter what.
Sure,
absolutely.
And same thing with Japan. I worked over in Japan for several years, and I wasn't going to miss one of those tours, no matter what.
Absolutely.
Well, I'll tell you what. I am going to tell everybody what's coming up, and Amelia, you can send us home if you like.
Well, actually, if Mr. Beard has anything he wants to promote as well, real quick.
Oh, absolutely, of course. By all means.
Well, I mean, I don't do a lot of social media stuff, but I do. I am involved with Cauliflower Alley, of course, and Hard Simmons promotion down there in St. Louis. We're doing some things with them, and then of course the Tragus Thez Hall of Fame. I'm very deeply involved in that, and that's a big thing for me. That's kind of my passion right now, is to do that, and then of course Texas style wrestling, and
beautiful.
You can find us online. So
Oh,
so.
Excellent.
fantastic.
Very
And
good.
again, thank you so much again for joining us tonight.
You bet,
Certainly,
absolutely.
certainly,
My
we
pleasure.
appreciate it. And James, you're welcome back here anytime.
Absolutely.
And let me tell everybody what's coming up
Yes.
on the show. Next week we have Inside the Conspiratorial Mind with Melissa, the Arctic Wolf Black. She will be joining us. We will also be discussing old time crime, the anti-hero, John Dillinger, John Gotti, Robin Hood, the guys that took from the rich and gave to the poor, guys like Joe Merlino, mafia boss from Philadelphia, who fed everyone turkey at Thanksgiving. The interesting dichotomy between the soulless guys who come alive at the holidays is a strange, bizarre thing. It really is. We will also be presenting once again, joining us, Country Music Hall of Famer Lacey J. Dalton will be here. We will have Mark Sotkin, the writer, producer, director of The Golden Girls, Laverne and Shirley, will be joining us once again. And our friend Glenn Martin, filmmaker extraordinaire. We will be presenting Michael Paré from Eddie and the Cruisers, Jennifer Banco from Friday the 13th, Beverly Randolph from, Night of the Living Dead. I almost forgot the name of that movie.
Right. And don't forget, Brian Saponis is also going to be joining
And
us.
Brian
as well.
Saponis from the new film Cabrini.
Yes.
That's soon to be released. It'll be released March, as a matter of fact, of this year. Just some of the top name celebrities we will be bringing you on What's the Buzz. And, of course, Amelia will be here every Wednesday, God help us all, with her wrestling show. And we will have other fascinating guests. The James Beard will be joining us again. I swear we'll get him. I'll pull the Mansfield card on him again. And we'll have James Beard back, and maybe we'll contact some of our old friends like Wendell Cooley and Scott Casey, and if we can pull Scott away from his seat at the watering hole. But we love Scott.
And
He's
some
great
lady
guy.
wrestlers that were great wrestlers back in the day as well.
Yeah.
So how about it, Amelia? Anything you want to say before we head out of here?
Just thank you, everyone, for my first show. Angelo, thank you as well. Mr. Beard as well. Thank you. And ring the bell and let's go home.
That's
Thank
it.
you, guys.
Take them home.
Yes, thank
Enjoyed
you.
it. Thank you.